I'm Nils. I'm introducing you a bit in the thing of the stuff that's changed for the product import for Magento 2 in regards to Magento 1. I think nearly everybody of you had imported some products into Magento 1, hopefully. Anybody who doesn't do such things at all? Oh, okay, great. So, yeah, this is me? Interesting? Great one? Okay, no problems at all for me. It's still readable, hopefully, so well, we will see if this works out. Yeah, I do Magento, I think, quite a long time, since 2009, roughly. Right now I'm doing the Polo Motorrad sportswear shop. We are a sportswear seller and for motorcycle equipment and so on. I'm more or less only conference active on Twitter. But therefore, I try to follow the complete community with it. So, yeah, that's for me. Everything is smart. Well, great. Okay. I don't know why it is, but yeah, hopefully it's not big of a problem. Yeah, in Magento 1 we had for import we had the blessed model API. Yeah, but who did something with it knows it was slow, and in slow I mean really slow. So we're talking about seconds if you had some more or less sophisticated stuff with, let's say, some third-party extensions that were handling into, and this came because it just issued the save calls, and all those, if your third-party extension had event observers, yeah, every event got dispatched, and yeah, this can take quite some time, like the stuff with the indexing and so on that came afterwards, so not the best option. But for a long time, it was the only option we had. Then there was this REST SOAP API stuff. Great, but it was even slower. Because internally, it just was more or less a wrapper upon the model API. So if you add complexity to also complex system, it's probably not being faster. Maybe a bit more accurate or easier to use because you can call it as a web service. But for like bigger product imports, maybe not the nightly stuff, but so this could sport some problems. And then with 1.5, import-export interface was introduced for the rescue. Most of us thought. Probably. It was CSV based, so we could upload files into it and don't have to do everything somehow magically with all those API calls. And yeah, like Tide always said it, then we had one value per row. So we had rows, if we had like multi-selects, we had different rows. Plenty of them sometimes. It was really hard to handcraft it, and most of the ERPs I know had really big problems exporting such stuff in this manner, so yeah, not a perfect solution. One of the biggest things was not everything that was exportable was importable. No, not even everything that you could do in the Magento backend was importable. Like, I think there were no bundled products, there were no downloadables, and so on. That could be problematic. Yeah, the standard one is only usable from the admin area. Maybe not so good for automation, but at least we had something. Then, because of all these problems I just mentioned, some alternatives just came up. We had data pumps like Magme, bad example, but that's what it's probably the most well-known one for being not so well, but it worked. Most of the time it did what it said. It got your data into your database quite fast. Then there was different wrappers around the import-export interface. Like, I think the two most used were Ho import from Paul Hachmark and the Fast Simple import from Andreas von Stuttnitz. They were wrapping around it so you could like not only use CSV files, but like Fast Simple import enabled you to do it with PHP arrays, and it was callable like from a cron job. Great improvement in this. And there were many more different styles of it, but I think most of them figured out the same problems and solved same problems in just different ways. Yeah, with Magenta 2 arising, there were probably big improvements. The whole framework got better and so on. Yeah, we still have the model API, of course, because we have those models. We still have the REST and SOAP API. This time the REST API at least is usable from the functionality standpoint because now it covers everything the SOAP API covers. That was not the case in the Magenta 1 days. And we have import-export still. So in this regard, no big change. I think the data flow completely vanished, but I think after import-export, nobody uses it anymore. Yeah, the model SOAP REST, because it's everything more or less the same, I put it into one, so it was way faster than in Magenta 1. But it is still slower than the import-export interface in Magenta 1. So you have to think about it. If you only do a small amount of product import, I think it is usable for this, but it wouldn't be my choice of, my real choice for doing an automated import looks a bit different, to be honest. So for that, I would still consider import-export the main way to interact with the complete system. There was a big evolution in there. We have still only CSV files. Yeah, that sounds not so like an evolution. But we had many, many, many improvements. The format got fixed a bit. And if you export something, however your data looks like, you have 81 fixed columns. Strange, if you have 100 attributes or 500 custom attributes, you have 81 columns. Nah, but we'll go for this later. It's still not fully working. Like, there are still missing parts that prevent importing everything or everything correct. So it's there are many issues with there. And yeah, it's still not automatable by default, because by default there is only a possibility to call it from the admin backend, like in the days. So, but we had general improvements to the whole interface, and with all these came support for external images. They don't have to reside in media import anymore. You can have external calls to HTTP something. I don't know, I've never tried it if something like FTP or so is working. Probably it is, but only if it's accessible without any credentials or so. We have the import for bundled products. I would say this is a great feature. At least like we use bundled products a lot, and I don't know, probably at least some of your customers do the same. So this is a great part, and it is working correctly. Great one. You had the possibility, it's easier to import custom attributes. We can add image attributes and map them correctly for the backend. And even custom options for products are now really good supported. At least if you follow the conventions, it's working. The CSV format improvements we have are plenty. But I'm shy to call everything an improvement in there. They got one thing fixed, and Tide always said it, now you have one line per SKU. You can have every information of a SKU in one line and don't have to spread it around. Like, we had products for 400 lines of CSV. That was a bit unmaintainable, and if you try to check for an error, yeah, but to be honest, the same information now is in one line. I don't know if everybody sees this is easier, but at least it's more compact to view. We have correct UTF-8 support right now. That was not so easy before, but that is another thing. Yeah, right now, because of the stuff, we have to put everything into one row. It is possible to have multiple values per attribute per field. So if you have in one field multiple attributes, then it is also possible. But in here you can have delimited by a pipe, like for multi-select attributes, you can have different options selected by this one and don't have to support every single row. So that's for the one of the bigger format, CSV format changes. Like just mentioned, it is possible now to have multiple attributes within a single field. delimited by a comma. That is the thing I've mentioned, just the 81 columns you had. So this is achieved with this mechanic. So the real improvements, I would say, in this case, I just show you the one I think are the most improving stuff. So, like I mentioned, custom attributes. They're just defined. You have a column like named additional attributes, and there you put everything into. Separated by comma to have multiple attributes in it, and the different values of the attribute, or attribute options, like it's called, separated by pipe. Kind of easy, usable. If you don't have 150 custom additional attributes, in this case, you get really big table fields. Debatable. You have one column per attribute. That's a thing from the old days. Nowadays, it's interesting. The export crushes everything in one column, but it's still possible to do it in multiple columns. So you can have one column per attribute, like in Magento 1. So whatever you like more is the one you should choose. This is even possible to mix it up. So you have one column like additional attributes with multiple values, with multiple attributes, and if you have super special stuff, then you can put it into separated rows. Yeah, one of the bigger changes is the support for bundled products. So this is the stuff a normal bundled product has to have to be correctly importable. The example you see, there's only two, like you see this one pipe in there, so that is only two options. It gets a bit complicated. If you bundle more stuff, it gets out of hand pretty quickly. Custom options follow the same, more or less, rule set. Options by pipe, attributes by, or in this case, custom options by comma, and the values of the custom options by pipe. Yeah, but with new technology came new pitfalls. One of the biggest things, every import is flawless. You have no error because there are no errors if a SKU is non-existent anymore. If you try to link something, not so good. If you try to update attributes of a non-existent SKU, no error, everything is fine. Data consistency looks a bit different for me. Removing links or associations is still not working because it is a problem. You cannot have empty fields in it, because there is a check-in later on where every empty field, like with really empty or with a null value in it or so, is just thrown away to keep the update a bit smaller. And yeah, if you try to empty a field that is not existent in your update call, I don't know how to achieve it. And every single slide I've seen by the core team says the import is way faster than before. Yeah, it is faster than the model API before, but it is way slower than the Magento 1 import-export interface. And that's because in Magento 1, there was this notion they called the resource models, and wrote the stuff directly into the database, like a bit like a validated MySQL data pump. But now they do repository saves to ensure data consistency. I think it's a good way because data consistency is harder to achieve than speed, normally. And if you struggle with the performance of the import itself, most of the times I've seen it as a problem. You want to import too much. It's easier to narrow down the amount of import you have than fixing this stuff. And we have still some missing stuff. Downloadables are not importable. Videos are not. Oh, they are in the sample data, but they are not importable. Like I said, removing or emptying attributes is not possible. But that's more or less a PHP problem. Yeah, then we have the thing, you cannot create attributes or attribute option values within the import. That's a thing still from Magento 1. It is possible to work around, but not with one import go. Yeah, we can improve the situation right now. We have, there is some extension for automating the CSV import. So you can have the Firebird import-export extension installed, and then you can specify a directory where you put your CSV and say, import it on a cron job basis. So then there was one thing, make it easier to to do something else than pure CSV. Yeah, we said we just had this for Magento 1. So why there is nothing like this implemented into the core? No idea. It is kind of easy. So there are extensions for it already. I will mention them just later. So fixing the thing that exporting and importing is behaving differently. So right now you export data and import it, and you come up with a complete different product set. Because some are not importable, some are behaving differently during the import. I think this is a case where the consistency between the two endpoints of this interface is a bit lacky. Yeah, then it should be considered to, I think, extend the new import interface to support more entities, because right now you have products and customers. For the products you also have prices and advanced prices, because you cannot add tier prices and so on in the normal import. But yeah, I think there should be maybe for categories or so on. It's kind of easy to do, but right now out of the box there is nothing. Yeah, allow import of attributes and attribute options. That's a request I get every now and then, but that should be solved as a step of its own. Maybe just processing the import data up front and then do a normal import. Yeah, the workarounds in Magento 2 are quite limited as far as I know. We started porting fast simple import to fast simple import 2. So but right now this is just for enabling you to not only import CSV, but to import some kind of array structure. So however you get it done, if you can call this script with a PHP data array in the correct format, no problem, you can import it. So it's easier to call by cron jobs or so on. Yeah, we had this fast simple extender because we choose to enable, like we did it in Magento 1, we had this one big module with added functionality. We just said, okay, we split it up, one for the format and one for the added functionality. But this is in a very, very early stage, and I think it got, we have a bit of a problem to find time to work on it right now. So yeah, like I said, I have the resources I needed in here, so the stuff for Magento 2 and the import-export from Firebird AC1. Yeah, I don't have more ideas in this case, but you can always do some pull requests to the core if you find a severe bug. We already did so. We're still waiting for approval, but time will come, and I think most of the problems are kind of easy to fix on your own. Yeah, that's so far for me for a small introduction of what has changed between 1 and 2, and yeah. So as far as I know, I don't want to interfere with the next one too much. I don't want to kill your coffee break completely. So I think I'm not open for questions in here, but if you have some questions afterwards, I'm happy to speak to all of you.